Captain on the bridge.
Alright, captains, we are back on the bridge, and today what I wanted to go over, and I know I'm a little late, but we had a lot of content that we wanted to cover from Star Trek Online, obviously some things from Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Resurgence, but what we wanted to do is go over the ships that were in the Season 2 first 2 episodes of Star Trek Picard. Now, I've said this in previous videos, my love for Star Trek is first and foremost about the ships. So, go ships, characters, and then stories, episode, and all that stuff. So, when it comes to what we saw in Picard Season 2 opening, I was blown away. I was just, oh my gosh, captains, I was just nerding out so bad. Not only did we get a couple new ships, but we had Star Trek Online ships go into Star Trek Picard. So I wanted to go over the ships that were there. Now, these pictures are from one of the designers from Star Trek Picard himself. He tweeted them out, David Blass. So all these pictures that I got are literally from his Twitter feed. So what we'll do is go over the ships. While we're doing that, we'll drop my 2 ECs if I have any to drop, but this is more just a video to appreciate the sort of relationship that's going on now with Star Trek and Star Trek Online. So here we go, on screen. It's still mind-blowing to know that we have Star Trek Online ships in Star Trek. Now, when we had the community manager, Mike Adam, and shout out to you, Sir Mike, Ambassador Kale, when we had him on the bridge, I said, it feels like we got these ships into, well, and I said, I didn't get it. And he correctly, no, you guys did. And that speaks to sort of all the work that they've put into the game. And of course, as players, as captains of Star Trek Online, we've actually obviously supported it, and it's gotten to this point. So I know I'm gushing, but it's just such an awesome time for Star Trek / Star Trek Online. And I've always said this, and it's a great time to be a captain, whether you're a Star Trek Online captain and or just a captain of Star Trek altogether. So here we go. First one up here is the USS Almagest, NCC 91870. I love this because it has the Picard insignia there. It even has here the Sutherland class starship, length 2,140 feet. And of course, it has here designed and modeled by Thomas Marone. And so huge shout out, especially to Thomas Marone, who has done a lot of work over the past years in not only touching up the old ships, but giving us new ships. And again, he actually worked on Picard. So this is just a huge accomplishment for him, and we couldn't be prouder for him. So there it is, the USS Almagest. Again, this is the Sutherland class that is in game. Recently, we actually had a Picard theme stream on the bridge, and it was fun. This was the last ship I flew. I'm not the hugest fan of the design because of the deflector, and we'll kind of go over the elements as we go along here. But I don't like necessarily the square in the cells, but the weapons pod, love it. And how this ship looks in game, especially in the bright light, oof, looks so good. Here's the next one, the USS Hudgens. Now, captains, I may say these names wrong, and no disrespect to anything. I know some of these ships are named after like famous battleships and all that, but there's no disrespect. I just have trouble reading. Triz has trouble reading. Again, here it is, the USS Hudgens, I believe, or Hudgens? NCC N1814, and again, the Sutherland class. So here's a better shot of the deflector. I don't necessarily like it, but I don't hate it. It's the nacelles and it's also the pylons that I kind of don't like. It's kind of hard to see here, but they kind of bend weird. They're not necessarily straight. They have a curve in them, but again, it's just great to have this. And this doesn't look like it's an in-game shot. It actually looks like something that was drawn, just like the first one there. And the next one here, the USS Ibn al-Haytham. So the NCC 91965. So here you kind of sort of see there's like a little bend here, and that's what I didn't like. And they also have the same pylons on the Andromeda, which is the Galaxy class / T6 skin in Star Trek Online. But regardless, it's just good to have in the show, and I'm all for it. Here's the USS Sutherland class. And that torpedo pod, one of my favorite torpedo pods for now, because this is actually the tier 6 skin of the Nebula. And that's why kind of shares the same parts as, of course, as it's a Galaxy. Same thing with the Sutherlands sharing parts with the Andromeda. But very, very clean. It's a good forward-looking, aggressive-looking ship. And for me, when I see this tactical pod on this ship, it just oozes tactical vessel to me, or like a kind of a, it is a light cruiser to me, but it has some teeth, you know, teeth being the web torpedo pod. Next ship up here now is the USS Clark, NCC 90206. This is the Reliant class starship, and of course this is the tier 6 skin of the Miranda class. They do stay faithful. They keep the roll bar. There's something that I don't like about this ship, and that's kind of the deflector. There's 2 deflectors on this. But again, I have these ships in game, and they're great ships regardless to just have casual play in. Again, I respect it. Looks like, again, another drawing here. That's the USS Clark. We have the actual USS Reliant. Of course, ode to the Reliant in the Wrath of Khan movie. Specs there again, of course, modeled by Thomas Marone, but also designed by Hector Ortiz. So huge shout out to you too as well, sir, for all your hard work. Thank you so much. And we appreciate that. So USS Reliant, NCC 90200. And again, these ships were the fleet in Star Trek Picard, the first 2 episodes there. How could you go wrong with this? The USS Uhura, NCC 90214. I like how they're just throwing these like little nuggets, you know, like nostalgic nuggets. Like, here, have one. just here. Here's another one, you know. It is nostalgia nuggets, but I'm okay with it. I really am. The Reliant class again. There's not really showing here. So there's a deflector here. Now the Miranda class never had a deflector. And it's like, to make up for it, we'll put 2 on there. There's like 1 right above the saucer, and then there's 1 underneath here. You can't really see it here, but there is 1 underneath there. The cells, they're okay. Not a huge fan, but you can see they do keep a lot of the original designs from the Miranda and like an updated roll bar. And I love the look at that. I wish, there's one thing I wish I could do in Star Trek Online, and maybe this is something, a discussion point or a different video, is I wish with all the ships that I own in Star Trek Online, I'd have the ability to kit bash them. Because all kit bashing is canon. Hence why we have some of the ships that we have, like the Nebula, right? The Reliant, right here. So it would be nice that if we own the ships, we'd be able to kit bash them together. I know that may be hard, but having said that, there is a class new ship in Star Trek Online. It's the multi-class Clark. And you can use the parts from the Reliant, Miranda, the Malachowski, and oh boy, I can tell you, I'm pretty sure some captains spend a lot of time in the ship Taylor kit bashing that ship out because it's something that they integrated in that ship, and I do wish that we could have that option across the board. A lot of work, I understand, but I would literally pay Zen. I would throw Zen at the screen. I'm throwing Zen right now. You can't see it, you can't hear it, but I'm throwing Zen. Okay, captains? So anyways, again, that might be another video discussion point next time. Now we get to the Ross class, which is the Galaxy class. Kind of an updated, this is the legendary skin. There's already a tier 6 skin of the Galaxy, which is the Andromeda that I mentioned earlier, but this is the Ross skin, which is exclusive to the 10th anniversary bundle. Now, when I first saw this, again, this is the USS Vanguard NCC 75148. I have my issues with it. It wasn't something that I jumped at. I was all for it because I know I can use the Galaxy skin, which I do. In the theme stream Picard weekend, of course, I use the Ross skin. I'm not a fan of it because this deflector reminds me too much of the Sovereign. I don't like how the pylons are kind of shaped like that, and it's kind of bowing past the torpedo launcher here. I like the upgraded or the newer nacelles and the saucer. Now, there is a configuration that I use in Star Trek Online, and that's the Ross saucer, the Venture neck, the Galaxy secondary hull, and everything else is Galaxy. So Galaxy pylons, Galaxy nacelles, and it looks like a more battle-esque Galaxy, like a refit. And I kind of wish they kind of went that way, kind of a squatter look. But again, if I don't know too much of this, but one of the captains were talking about that this was sort of a project that a lot developers were working on. And again, this is modeled and designed by Thomas Marone. But it's good to have. It's good to be on screen. Now, if they made a show about it, this ship, and had this as a ship, you know, but again, I'm glad to own it. I'm happy, but the only way that you can own this skin is by getting the 10th anniversary bundle. And there we have the USS Yi Sun Sin, the NCC 76545. There's another shot of it. Yeah, I don't like the pylons and how they do that. Again, it's still Galaxy-esque, but it's just, I'm not liking that. I do like, again, the nacelle is awesome. And look how thick the saucer is. And it does look good. I do like the saucer. I really do. And Ross class starship. Went up, and there you go. The is the USS Gagarin, NCC 97930. This was the only one in the fleet, the only Gagarin class starship. Again, designed by Ortiz, modeled by Danny Veriga. A shout out to you. At first, I didn't necessarily like this concept behind this because this took a Discovery ship and then just upgraded it. The lore in Star Trek Online is there was a shipyard there's an accident, they couldn't access it for many years, and then now that they've had access to it because the radiation's gone, that's why now they have access to these older designs that they've upgraded. Performance-wise in game, really good ship, really great ship, has one of the best traits. ETM in the C-Store version, and there is actually a free one that we got through the mirror events, and there's a mirror Gagarin, and it's a command ship. Captains, you know, in my past videos, I've always said, especially build videos, I love my command ships. But regardless, I do like the design here. It's the actual current ship that I use on the console bridge whenever I'm on there, because again, I got it for free. Very, very good performing ship, but look-wise, the nacelles, I wish I could use the nacelles that were on the Baran, because it's a little bit more beefy. but this has grown on me, and a lot has to do with the fact that it's now canon. There's the only Gagarin class starship in that fleet. Next, we have the USS Europa, NCC 80104. This, of course, is a Luna class starship. I am so happy that this is finally canon. For the longest time, this was just beta canon, but now, here we go. Not only is it on the card, it's also on Lower Decks. It's actually Riker's ship. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite designs was this, and I'm glad it is now canon. And in-game, Captains, you know, comes with one of my favorite consoles, the opening salvo. It is kind of like a destroyer ship, and it's cool. You can kind of toggle between tactical and also sci. Great ship. I really do love it, and I'm glad it is, again, part of that fleet. The solidify, because we saw it first be canonized on Lower Decks, but now here it is on Picard. Next, we have the USS Oberon, NCC 80103, and there's that aft. Dat aft. That torpedo pod at the top, or mission pod, has torpedo launchers on the fore and aft of it, but there's an aft launcher there. Totally love the underslung look on these nacelles and the saucer. This is a great design. And now the USS Avalon, NCC 63887, of course, the Akira class. One of the designs that really became a fan favorite, especially in First Contact. It really has just a very futuristic look, and I wish that this ship became like a hero ship, had its own show, its own crew. One of the other ideas I had, and sort of threw it on the Twitch bridge there, was the first time we saw the Akira class was in First Contact, and I wish there was like short treks that you took an Akira class, a Saber, the Defiant, with Worf being the captain, the Norway. I want my Norway in Star Trek Online. Who else is with me? Comment below. Anyways, have short treks, stories of the crews, and then all lead up to the final series finale, which would be the First Contact battle. I just want this to be a hero ship, and to me, this screams torpedo boat. I love the torpedo pod here, and I never knew for the longest time that this actually had torpedo launchers on the side of the saucer. So this has torpedo launchers on the side of the saucer, on the front of the saucer. It has, of course, shuttle bays, and it has that torpedo pod here. Like, this thing is packing torpedoes for days. 4 days. And it is just a very good, aggressive looking starship design, which that's why I love Federation starship designs. That's the USS Avalon, Hera class. We have the USS Helios, NCC 63284. This one you can tell the shot is in game because of the impulse and warp trail there. But I love the deflector, how it's kind of sunk in. The Prometheus also has that kind of look going on for it too as well. There's a USS Rabin, NCC 63293. This actually more looks like a drawn shot there. But great ship. In-game, one of my favorites. A lot of these are going to be my favorite captains. Let's just be honest here. I wouldn't be covering if it wasn't. So here's the USS Thunderchild, NCC 63549. Kind of the same angle shot there. Again, just having it on Picard, I just love it. Okay, now we're going to get into the Sovereign classes. The USS Arsinoe, NCC 75307. So the only notes that I want to make here is I believe that this is not like that refit of the Enterprise where it has this line going into the secondary hull, which is fine. I mean, the Enterprise wasn't the only Sovereign class, and I love how they're showcasing it in Picard. I wish they would have had more, but we'll get into that a little later. I have a little side note here of the fleet that they did have there, especially when we're talking about Picard Season 2, comparing it to Picard Season 1. Captains, you already know. So, Sovereign class, when I first saw the ship, man, it just, whew, the aggressive look of this ship, it just felt right. And it's one of the most beautiful designs that I've seen. Of course, this was designed by John Eves. Shout out to you, John Eves. And of course, when they brought this into the Star Trek sort of universe, it just felt right. And the battle scenes of this, my favorite scenes of this ship obviously are Nemesis, one of my favorite movies slash Star Trek scenes of this versus the Scimitar. She looked so good getting hit and hitting. Period, point blank. Then you have the USS Gilgamesh, NCC 74669. This looks like a concept drawing again. Little different looking stars, because if you go back here, got the red there, and of course this got the orange looking there. But again, this is just a concept drawing, or guess what they did there. They're just throwing little ships there. I'm all for it. Hey, executive designer put this out there. Sure, I'm all for it. And then the USS Hrothgar, NCC 74975. This looks like a Star Trek Online in-game shot right there. I take a lot of selfies. Captains, if you don't know what that is a ship selfies. In-game, this is screaming shelfie to me. In-game. Love how there's a profile, of course, of all the ships that we were looking at there. Side and the top profile there. Just this ship just looks so elegant moving. Even not like moving, it looks like it's moving. I think that was kind of what they're going for. USS Hutchinson, NCC 74957. And see, I don't see these lines coming off. Bridge are going into the secondary hull, but still, dad aft. You're going to hear me say a lot dad aft in videos, captains. The USS Okuda, NCC 74107. Again, looks like an in-game shot. They're in Star Trek Online. Now, I was trying to research how to say this. I'm probably going to botch this. I apologize. I don't mean to offend anyone. The USS Kakakuri? I'm so sorry. NCC 74181. This does not look like a Star Trek Online shot. Looks like more of a drawing there. USS Valkyrie, NCC 74877. Again, this is a little bit more detailed here, it seems. There's a lot of sovereigns they had in there. USS Venture, NCC 75306. You would think with all these ships there. Again, we'll get to that later, captains. Now we're going to get into the inquiry classes. So first one up is the USS Magellan and the NCC 86509. When I first saw the ship, I was all for it, and then I saw the grill, the slash deflector. All the angles of the ship I love. Anything without the deflector, I'm for. You put the deflector in there, So now, in-game, these are, I believe they're called the alpha nacelles. There's actually beta nacelles, which I prefer because they're actually longer and they go past the aft a little bit more, and it feels like they just fill it out because they're more round. But I could not get the ship in game, especially with Riker being the captain of the Zhang He, which was there. There that is, the Magellan. The USS Nathan Hale, NCC at 86501. See this angle? No problem. Very aggressive looking ship. It starts to lose me here in the side profile, but It is what it is, Caps. The USS Rastaza, hopefully I said that right, NCC 86503. And you see the impulse trails, the nacelles have trails. Usually that means it's a shot for in-game in Star Trek Online. Then you have the USS Shackleton, NCC 86517. It's like they're trying to hide the deflector from us. Like, no. Like I said, any angle without the deflector, to me, I love it. Kind of loses me, like I said earlier, but it's okay. And there it is, the USS Zhanghe, NCC 86505. So I don't think Riker was here. There was no indication that he was. I feel that he just kind of took command of it to do that special operation to help Picard out. But regardless, the Zhanghe was there in this confrontation. Whew. Okay. I know I'm going to get some flack for this. I am not the hugest Excelsior fan. It took a long time for the Excelsior to grow on me, and I do have a lot of issues with it, especially with its top view. I don't know what it is. It just feels like it's too skinny, and then the saucer is just so small for the overall shape of the ship. But this, I don't know what it is, and it may be because it's sharing a lot of the same sort of notes of the Sovereign saucer. But the USS Eureka NCC 42023 is an Excelsior II class starship. Like, I love how they just have to say Excelsior II. So there's visually obviously a lot of differences here, but also you can tell it is the same lineage. And I think if this is the first ship that they've kind of actually used like a number 2 behind it. Of course, captains, correct me if I'm wrong, my nerd cred is pretty bad, and I've been told that a lot. But when you look at the neck from the side profile, it looks like they've elongated it. And of course, the saucer, looking from the top, looks like the Sovereign. So it fixed a lot of the issues that I had with just a circular saucer, because it feels like it's filled it out a lot more, and it flows a lot better in terms of the look. Again, the secondary hull looks the same, the deflector is the same, but the nacelles are different. Looks like they've changed the pylons on it, but I'm totally loving the ship. I cannot wait. I can't wait to get this ship in game. I don't care what specialization they put on this. It could be a tier 5, I would get it. It could be a tier 4, I would get it. I want this ship. Did I say I want this ship? I want this ship. So there's the Excelsior II class, and it was the only Excelsior class to be in that. So again, we'll touch on this a little bit more later, but yeah, this ship I'm all for. I love the design of it. It looks like a very natural, beefy upgrade to the Excelsior, and it's about time. Like, that Excelsior has been, someone in Paramount, someone said this on the bridge there on Twitch, someone in Paramount must really love the Excelsior for it to always be like in every incarnation of Star Trek. And here we go, it's here again. Now, it's actually, there's, I know it's not an Excelsior class, but I believe in lower decks, it's called the Obina class. It looks like another Excelsior. So it's like, oh my gosh. But anyways, this one, I cannot wait till it comes into Star Trek Online. I'm all for it. And then, of course, we have the USS Stargazer. Whew. Yes, I want this ship. I want. This is a great upgrade to the Stargazer, the Constellation class that we have there in Star Trek Online. And according to Mike Fadam himself, our community manager / AKA Ambassador Kale, we were supposed to have this ship day one. Day one. But because of the bureaucracy, apparently he said, of all the politics and getting a ship into game, it would have been too quick. It seems like the talks of it, Dave Blass himself said, yeah, no, you guys should have this. So we're going to get this, no doubt. We're going to get the ship. I'm all for this. So the USS Stargazer NCC 82893, it's a Sagan class starship. Now, I've been a fan of foreign nacelle design ships. This actually looks like one of the designs in Star Trek Online, like an older design. So with Thomas there, of course, they took a lot of, I believe, a lot of those elements and kind of borrowed it, made a new ship out of it. I don't care. I want this. I want this. And I love how it's different yet the same. And again, and in Picard, they said that this has a lot of new technologies on it, especially referring to the Borg stuff. So from the nacelles to the pylons, and speaking of the pylons, the top nacelle set is actually a little bit more closer inwards, and then the bottom are a little bit more outwards, and I'm cool with that. And you can see that there in the top profile. But I love the side profile, top, 3/4, everything. I love everything about this. I want it. I just hope, please, Cryptic, just put this in the C store. Please, just put this in the C store, and don't make an R&D ship or a lockbox promo or whatever. Yeah, I'm all for this. Of course, I took a lot of pictures of that. We'll go over that later. So here is the whole Starfleet ships that were in season 2. It even says it here. Again, this was all tweeted out there for everyone to use. So you can see there from the Sovereign, the Ross class, the Sutherland, the Inquiry, the Excelsior II, Stargazer, the Gagarin, the Kira, the Luna there, the Titan class, and of course the Reliant. The one thing that they didn't put here, and maybe because it's too small, was the La Serena. Wasn't there, La Serena. So I didn't, like, if you look at this, again, I said that the Sutherland slash, Nebula is sort of borrowed from the Andromeda slash Galaxy, but man, that looks pretty big there. It's interesting to see all these ships together in comparison to the size of them. But this is a mighty good looking fleet. But again, the one that I pay attention more to here, the two that took my breath away, was of course the Excelsior II and the Sagan class. I love this. This is so cool. We've never gotten any like this information ever. Like usually it's kind of years later. We got this like week 1. And it's awesome. So there's that. I love that info. So here's the shot of the fleets here, and all these markers were put in, like which ship was which, but you can kind of make out which these were. Of course, if you look at the Stargazer, it's more prominent, of course. And then you have the Excelsior there. You see some of the Titan class ships there, Luna class there, and it looks great. Now this is where I say why in God's green earth did we not have more? Captains, if you remember at the end of Picard season 1, how many Inquiry classes, but not only that, this was an opportunity for them to fit more ships in here. Defiant, how come there's no Defiant? Prometheus, why wasn't there no Prometheus? Norway, Saber, why? I'm not necessarily complaining, but I am, because this is an opportunity to diversify the fleet. And not long after the ending of Picard season 1, there was a fan video made of a warp-in of what should have happened. Actually, even the Intrepid class is not here, right? So, and in that, there was a Sovereign, Defiant, Inquiry. I believe there's still an Inquiry, but Akira, and it was great to have those, but, I'm just, if anything, I'm a little disappointed, because this would have been a great opportunity to, one, fix that, but this in itself was for them to try to fix what that was, right, in comparison to, because you would think if they're able to send out a fleet for Picard, why not the biggest threat that could be happening right now, you send like what, 20, 30 ships? You didn't send like what, all those inquiry classes behind them? They could have all been behind the shot. I would have been for it. I would have been fine. Like, what happened to all those inquiry classes? And there's a closer shot there, of course. You see there, see there's that Excelsior. Of course, they had to make the Stargazer prominent, but man, that Sutherland's pretty beefy too as well. Here are the Gagarin, the only Gagarin there. And there's a Ross class there. Whew, love it. Love how those ships became canon. Of course, now here's a shot from the back of the fleet, looking at that Borg ship there. Get a couple more shots here. The Kira class, the Sovereign, Inquiry. There's a Sutherland again. So again, all these shots were dropped on Twitter. Another more pulled out shot. This, holy cow. Now, we went over this before in another video, but holy cow, like, look at how big this ship is. Now, I know it's, with every iteration of Star Trek, it's always bigger the better, but man, this seemed a little ridiculous. Now, I know Borg cubes are huge. You also got the Unimatrix and all that stuff, but this just seemed ridiculous on how massive this thing was. Like, how massive this thing was. But again, they had to make the threat, right? They had to make sure that this was an actual threat. But again, having said that, why only send X amount of ships? You know what I mean? The reasoning, of course, could be, oh well, they're heading there. Oh, okay, well, thanks, Tips. It's just, again, they fixed what they did in season 1. I'm going to give them props for that, but they could have made it better because they did that, then why couldn't they repeat it? It was already a copy and paste fleet. All you had to do was copy and paste. And then add a Defiant, Intrepid, Saber, Norway, Prometheus. Like, thank you. The actual ships that Starfleet made to combat the Borg. Just saying. Just saying. Here's another shot here of the Borg ship here. They go into the details here, but this is just the front view, and this is just a drawing. And another drawing here with the actual ships. Of course, you have the Stargazer, the Gagarin, the Reliant. I believe that's the Excelsior. See, and then this is funny. This is actually the Titan class in Star Trek Online when you look at that. But again, Thomas was working on the project, so they didn't actually have that model in Picard, but that is a Tier 6 Titan model. Another shot here, just a little closer. I can tell because those pylons there and the nacelles there. A little bit more detailed shot there. Of course, here's the Borg ship opening sequence with energy sphere, compact and closed mode. Extension of blades and center. Hatch doors begin to open. Hatch doors and blade extension open and in position for spires to extend. I kind of do like how there's where they were getting the inspiration for this. So again, there's that Borg ship for the next slide here. This is their inspiration. This was literally their inspiration for the spikes. It was a lizard with that. Like, I mean, we can go into a whole discussion of how I feel about Star Trek Discovery, but all the items there of the 32nd Century Fleet, like, we have a toilet seat, toilet cover, a stapler, a donut, and a bottle opener, and a melee weapon that looks like it's from Halo. Like, anyways. So, while in flight mode, we'll go back here and focus just on while in flight mode, the ship looks like an elongated comet. But when provoked under attack or in attack mode, the spilins fill out to create an aggressive posture. I mean, I guess, you know, what else can we take inspiration from other than what is around us in the world, right? But these are alien things. Like, why would they take inspiration from stuff that we have here? But I'm blurring the lines here of real and fake. So there's that. That was an interesting looking decision that they went with there. I mean, for the most part, it is what it is. It's just to take an inspiration from that. It looked menacing. Don't get me wrong. It looked very menacing. Of course, here it is, the Borg ship. Main hull with spires. If seen from space, the flying ship could pass for a comet. Tail, the idea that the Borg assimilate a wide variety of species. Maybe they assimilated a planet killer from the Doomsday Machine, harnessing its massive energy. Now, having said that, what was the first thing the Borg Queen said on the bridge of the Stargazer? We need energy. So, wasn't planet killer. My opinion, my two ECs there. So, just saying. So here we go. All these inquiries, where were they? We're facing one of the biggest threats. And we sent 30 ships when we had all these inquiries to help Picard. Like, look at that. Look how many inquiries there were. Like, it's just, like, that was a lot. And we sent, like, what, 5 inquiries? But there's that shot. Now, on top of these, those other shots, these ones I got from Picard Season 1, there were these other ones here. We'll put that on screen. Now, this was from when they've already went back, or when Q transported them to an alternate timeline. These, again, were provided by Dave Blass. So now this is, of course, the Confederation starships. And, of course, the La Serena. So I thought I'd also add these because they were actually released as well. It was a bit after, which I'm glad, at least now we have them. But again, the reason why I want to include these is because they had the same style there, as we'll see here in a bit. But again, it's all named out here for us. We're not guessing. There's a CSS Layton, CSS Quinn, CSS Darty, and then, of course, CSS La Serena. I don't think they've really changed anything on the La Serena other than the color. Same thing here with the ships here. They look a little redder in terms of like deflector, but those were, this was a Steam Runner and 2 Novas. But here it is, a better shot of it here. CSS Quinn, NCC 74536. Nothing really too different here. It's the same Nova that we know all in love. One of my favorite ships, of course. In Star Trek Online, a bit of a beast. We recently got the Tier 6 version, the Equinox. Nothing too different. Like I said, the only thing I feel that the different was here was the redness in the deflector. There was the Darty, NCC 75489. This is an aft shot there. Of course, the CSS Layton steamer. See, just a redder deflector as opposed to blue that we're used to. They just had red. And Steam Runner class there. And there's that shot there. So, again, we're going to leave it on this shot, captains, because I think it's deserved. We're going to go back here to this slide. And leave it on this gorgeous, gorgeous looking ship here. Y'all know where already I'm going. That Stargazer. I mean, could it be any more beautiful? Like, holy cow. You know, when you, again, comparing it there to where it was, it looks a little small, but, and then of course the Excelsior, it's just awesome. Awesome looking shots for the ships there. Of course, when it comes to all this stuff, I'm just so happy that we have ships going from Star Trek Online to Star Trek Picard. And then, of course, we're going to have the Picard ships come into Star Trek Online. And I couldn't be happier. This was all awesome information. Shout out to Dave for giving us all this. Captains, I know this is a long video, but this was something that I really wanted to do, was go over the ships, because when it comes to Star Trek, I've always said my first love in Star Trek is always been the ships, and seeing these is just so great, so great. So again, we're gonna leave it on this, captains. With that said, look out for other videos that we're gonna be going to do that's kind of branching out of our normal Star Trek Online, but still keeping within the whole Star Trek universe. There are things I will cover, but it's all to show the love and respect that I have for Star Trek. So on captains, thank you for sticking with me. If you've stuck with this far, appreciate it. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the bridge here so that we can reach like-minded captains. But with that said, we will leave it on this.
Live long and prosper.